It is a very expensive proposition, and someone simply of Ray's talents is kind of unique, especially in any community, because he was able to restore many of the statues back to their pristine era and look. And he did a fantastic job on that. So when Juan Diego was canonized as a saint, and especially as the first indigenous saint of Mexico, is that we talked to Ray about doing an image of Juan Diego for the church to be on the opposite side of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So we talked about how the design might take shape, and so he then went to work on it. He was able to, more than anything else, capture the indigenous image, especially in the Juan Diego painting that he did of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Ray is a dedicated, faithful member of this parish, but more important is that I believe that his talents and skills in art preservation and a uniqueness in capturing especially the indigenous image of Juan Diego says a lot about his work, his talent, and what he gives back to the community. Because again, by sharing this, he shares it not only with the faithful of Our Lady of Sorrows, but also with the entire Santa Barbara community as well.
So, Ray, we're back in your backyard now here. We've got a beautiful view of the Pacific Ocean, doves alighting on the palm trees. I want to take you back to your own beginnings as an artist, though. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, unfortunately, we'd have to go back to smoggy LA. Yes, I actually started, as an artist, I started. My influence was my mom getting on the phone and talking to her comadres, to be honest with you, and I would render on her telephone book stick figures, and I guess I was probably maybe 4 years old, 5 years old back then, and that was the beginning. I realized I had some form of passion to communicate visually, and you know, it's either tagging or painting, so I chose painting.
So you're doing that. Are you writing also? I mean, is that a means of expression, or is it primarily in the visual?
I wish I could write. That's why I only could paint. I can't even speak to people. I don't understand what I'm talking about. So painting visually has been my best form of communication.
Now, one of your early pieces is a mural.
That's correct.
How did that come about?
It was, I was going to college at the time, and I was commissioned. I actually was painting murals in high school. These summer programs, they would allow me they would save up monies in these summer programs, and they would have me paint walls in elementary schools when I was in high school. And as I was attending, after high school, I was attending San Jose State University. I had a summer job back in LA to paint a mural for a private company, and it was part of a Levi Strauss exhibition in Europe. And of course, that painting has been whitewashed since, but it was painted back in 1976, and I believe I was 19 years old at the time, because I graduated high school when I was 17.
Now, you mentioned it's been whitewashed, and we've talked to muralists in the past, and they said that's just part of the job when you're doing a mural, is sooner or later something's going to happen to it. But that must be a kind of frustrating experience for you as the artist.
Well, I think being an artist, especially a visual artist, we learn to deal with ups and downs. Rejection is probably one of the biggest, one of the greatest situations that artists have to deal with. And the earlier you learn to deal with rejection, I think the easier it would be with you as an artist, as a painter specifically, because painters, we have to paint for ourselves. It's really difficult to paint for someone else, and you might as well make yourself happy.
And yet, at the same time, a mural is a very public piece of art. It's something that everyone looks at. There seems to be a sense, as we look at your work today, that you're deeply spiritual and interior looking, yet you also want to connect with other people. Oh yes, I mean, I've learned at a later age, I've learned to connect the spiritual with the human experience. I'm definitely not priest material, and I don't want to fall in that category because I'm not as devoted as some people are, but I do feel it's important to combine both the human experience along with the spiritual experience. Now, after you finished up with college, you went to work in the film and music video industry. Talk about some of those experiences.
Well, I never graduated from college. I was a college dropout, but I moved back to Los Angeles, and I got involved with the movie industry through a friend of mine by the name of Romeo Carey, whose father, Timothy Carey, was a character actor in Hollywood. We worked with student films, and I eventually worked with a company by the name of Intravision. I was a visual effects artist, worked on Darkman, was credited on Darkman, which was a Universal picture, I believe. And I got the opportunity to work on a propaganda films production music video of Madonna. It was titled Old Father. It was a black and white production.
As you finished on that, somehow you ended up here in Santa Barbara. How did that come about?
That's correct. Well, I have another creation, my daughter, Vanessa, and I was asked to come up here to help raise her, and that's how I ended up in this beautiful community.
Now, you work for Channel 21. You are responsible for set and lighting design on so many of the programs that every time somebody flips the channel, they probably see something that you came up with. That's a special kind of art. I see you before the cameras start rolling, tinkering, moving things around. What are you trying to get out of a look for a show? Well,
I'm given direction. I try to use the direction I'm given to by our clients, and I incorporate my art with it as far as color and palette, and along with lighting. Those are my challenges. So it's more of a three-dimensional approach rather than this two-dimensional surface that I'm working with. But everything is intertwined. There's a relationship with everything that I do.
Do you ever find when you're working on the set design or a painting, you're thinking something specifically, I've learned this here, I can apply it there, or vice versa, or are they two separate fields?
I'm actually saying I did this a long time ago. You know, I'm always doing something that I might have done 10 and 15 years ago. You know, and I'm always repeating it, maybe in a different format, maybe in a different way. For example, color. You know, with set design, I'm painting with lights rather than actual pigments. So, but there's still that relationship. There's still that relationship there.
Well, we're going to finish the interview by looking at a couple more paintings of yours. Talk to me about this one that you translated as Pushing Trucks.
This one piece, yes, it was the first piece that I actually sold as an exhibitor in Los Angeles back in 2000, and it was the title of the painting was Puchando Trocas, and that's an expression that I believe was used in the video in reference to small Latino males that enjoy the voluptuous larger woman, and it's somewhat comical, but it's really true. I mean, I've actually witnessed this, you know, living in the barrio.
Now, when we look at this this painting, there is a certain sense of comedy, but there's also a sense of tenderness in the composition and also in the look, I think, that these two people are exchanging.
Well, of course. I mean, all males want that passionate love by a woman, you know, and I was hoping to capture this, but unfortunately, you know, this situation takes place in the little bars that are located in a barrio, and this is probably just a fantasy because he'll probably never know her, you know, after that night.
Right. Now behind us we have a really big painting, beautiful painting. Talk about this one.
It's this piece here is titled Los Obreros, the workers. These are strawberry pickers, and I was influenced by the fields that we have here in Oxnard, and something, you know, living in Los Angeles, this is something we really don't get to see. Even though most of the people that live in LA probably at one time or another ventured up here north to work out in the fields, or their parents did. And here again, this piece here, I'm honoring the laborers that work out in the fields and that are responsible for